Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Sheriff Mark Butler. Sheriff, 4 years ago you sat right here and told us you were going to run for sheriff, and it's just hard to believe it's been 4 years.
It has gone by like that.
It is. So, are you going to run for re-election?
Of course I am.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Of course I am. If you look at what we've been able to accomplish in 3 years, it's just unprecedented. June 1st is my 53rd birthday. Could have retired at 50.
Right, that's right.
And I turned 53, and I'm going to Wytheville, Virginia for my birthday.
Yeah, what's going to happen there?
I am getting, we believe.
Not sure yet, huh?
Not sure. I don't want to jinx it, but with the results we got from our accreditation, the Secretary of Public Safety will be in Wytheville, and the Board of DCJS will be giving us our accreditation.
Yeah. You mentioned he just had his kickoff event this last weekend?
Saturday.
All right, and we'll be posting that video. He did a really good speech, so we'll post that like we do for all our candidates.
Oh, yeah.
And that'll be coming up in the next day or so. But you give a good speech because you really talked heavily about that accreditation, how that's really a big deal, because like only a handful of the departments in the state.
Well, like I mentioned, we are the only accredited agency even in the county.
Right.
And it's not an easy task. You think about it, your entire agency, you're opening the doors to individuals you don't know. They work for the Board of Standards for the state, and they come in from all over the Commonwealth.
With their magnifying glass.
Exactly, and they're diving through everything. And to get I believe they called us. They said someone FOIA'd it even. FOIA'd our results.
Really?
And I was like, please put that out there. Our results were just amazing. And I'm blessed to have the sheriff's office that we have, because it's not me telling you, Mike. I've been telling you for 3 years. Robbie Seal comes in here all the time,
right?
And he tells you how great we're doing. And, everybody's like, okay, of course you're going to say it's great. It's not me telling you that anymore.
Right.
It's the state of Virginia saying, hey, no, your Warren County Sheriff's Office is in the top 27% of all law enforcement agencies in the Commonwealth. So we believe by June 1st, we're hoping to get the certification for crime prevention. And there's only 9 other agencies currently with that certification. You have to be accredited, and you have to do a lot of things for community policing. And that's how important it is, because they actually have a certification for it.
Right.
And only 9 other agencies in the entire Commonwealth will have both. So that puts us in the top, 2%? Mm-hmm. That's amazing for us to be able to do that in 3.5 years. But the biggest thing that I'm proud of is I pulled my flyer I made when I first started running.
Right.
And everything I ran on, we have completed.
Right. Got that checklist, to get it down there.
How many people who run or in politics actually can say they've accomplished everything they ran on?
Right. I don't think people realize that the sheriff is an elected position, and you have to get out there and pound doors and get people to vote for you. And you're right. You try not to be a politician as a sheriff, but there is politics involved. And you're right. Politicians give you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but rarely do they follow through.
Well, everyone knows all you got to do is talk to me for about 2 minutes, and you'll understand that I'm a conservative constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in being conservative because I work for the people, and a politician is a public servant.
Right.
And that's why I don't run for any party, and I refuse to. It's not that I believe all Democrats or all Republicans are bad. I just believe that the sheriff needs to be down the middle, enforce the laws that are constitutional. And if something is unconstitutional, then we will move it up forward, express our opinions, and we're not going to enforce an unconstitutional law. Right. Someone tried to mention about 2A, how ATF was making legislation. No, ATF can't make legislation.
Right.
So I'm not worried about ATF and them sitting up there. We have a lot of lobbyists and so forth, the VSI, VSA. They lobby down in Richmond and so on and so forth. But all our sheriffs that I talk to, do you know that 68 out of the 123 sheriffs are independent.
Right.
So this isn't a new
Something
thing.
new. It's not something new.
No, I mean,
Not-
and most people want their sheriff to follow the law and protect the Constitution.
yeah, because you hear all the time, one law for them, one law for thee. You know the
Right. And I think, our country's divided right now. It's divided between Republican and Democrat. And enough of enough. Most of us are just, and have been, just good, hardworking individuals that pay our taxes,
yeah,
right? And
whether they want to or not.
whether they want to or not, pay our taxes and just try to live a nice life. Well, that's how we're going. We're not going to affect someone's due process. And someone says, well, the Second Amendment's important. Well, so is the First, the Fourth, the Fifth, and all. So
All of them.
All of them. Because once you start messing with one amendment, then what happens to our Constitution?
Right.
One of the things that my previous employer told me, and this what really sunk in to where I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to run independent. This individual said that they didn't believe in the Constitution anymore because it was outdated and needed to be rewritten, and that the public is not smart enough to elect a sheriff and didn't think there should be a sheriff. And I said, well, to be honest, I don't think there should be a police chief. I mean, because the chief of police works strictly for the town manager
Right.
and the council, where I don't work for the Board of Supervisors. I work for the people of Warren County.
Right.
And every single day, that agency, I can tell you, that agency is putting it out there for the people. We are not going to invoke one person's constitutional right for another, nor should we. And, so when I went down the list, and I actually, in that speech Saturday, I kind of went on everything I ran on prior. We've increased our community policing 100%. 100%. And
And there's still room for improvement.
there's a lot of room for improvement. We have our football camp coming up, which is just, it's our third annual football camp. It's free to everyone. We hope homeschoolers, it doesn't matter. We want the children out there. We have
Sure.
Joe Theismann actually sent me us autographed football. Mm-hmm. Mark Mosley's walking around helping us get endorsements for the
Are
program.
the Divas coming back?
The Divas are coming back. We believe we may get a Kansas City linebacker that played at Millbrook there.
There you I remember reading about that. Yeah.
So we're hoping, fingers crossed, Doc Walker might be there. I've been in contact with all of them, and we should have a great event. It's another event, but what we're trying to do is raise this money so we can give it to the middle school so they can start their middle school football program. Football being one of the most expensive sports to actually fund.
Right.
This way, if we can hopefully not affect the taxpayer base, we can go out and do an initiative to give the children in the middle schools that we're kind of missing, I think.
Sure.
Give
Well, that's
them
how you start
something.
learning basics of things. I'm not a big football fan. I see the advantages
Right.
of team type sports. You really learn a lot. If you can learn it at a young enough age, regardless of the sport, and you can get involved in team activities
Oh, yeah.
and motivation and reaching goals, all that kind of molds together. And some people need sports to do it.
Sports are
Nerds like us, we didn't need them, but
well, I mean, I like music, obviously.
Sure.
And I like sports as well. But I think anything you can get children into,
Sure, it's good.
to expand their mind.
Get
use
them
the
off
left
those
side.
games, right? Well, even that's good.
Right, even that's good. I mean, my sons will sit there and get on the computer.
Well, that's
and
what
I'm
they're
like,
doing
how
now.
do you
They're
do
hiring them for drone pilots.
Right.
They're not going to have any more airplane pilots. They're just going to be all
Right.
drone pilots. Yeah.
it? So it's I am. I'm very proud and happy to be running again.
Well, one thing about that, when you have an organization that is accredited, use that, and that's doing things good and moving, it attracts really good people that want to come to work for you. You mentioned something about your employee staff.
Our staff is impeccable. I mean, and I'm not going to apologize. I said that Saturday. I'm not going to apologize for having some individuals leave.
Right.
Sometimes they're just not a good fit with the ideology.
That's like any business. I mean,
it is. And, you know, we have a great staff. There's no way we could have achieved everything we've been able to achieve in 3.5 years with the civil unrest, pandemic, and so on, and the hacking of everything, the rebuild of the county, all this happening in 3 years.
Sure.
Most sheriffs I talk to look at me and they just pat me on the back and they say, whew.
I'm glad it wasn't
better,
me.
yeah, better you than me.
Right, exactly.
And so I really had to soul search. I had to sit down because, like I said, I can retire. And I feel if I didn't run again and I didn't do another 4 years, we would go backwards. And Warren County doesn't deserve to go backwards.
We've been backwards enough, right?
You know, let's look at it. We're still dealing with the EDA scandal.
Right.
And no one's really going to pay for that. And it's a shame. I sat down with the FBI, and I even reached out to the Attorney General. They're not going to do anything, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
It'd make an appearance, but I don't think really anything will come out of it.
And I'm not. I'm not.
Court case, unless they push it back another year.
Right. And I'm not in that case. I've researched some of it to make sure that we don't have any outliers that are dealing that we would need to deal with, but and I know a little bit about the case clearly.
Sure.
And it is a shame because Jennifer McDonald was, is what it is, and she's out there, but she's not the only one, and we all know that.
Sure.
But once it gets out of my hands, it's not my case to investigate.
Yeah.
So, justice is very important.
Right.
And
sometimes the wheels turn slow sometimes.
Exactly.
But they turn.
We'll see which way it goes.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people were affected by it. Maybe our deputies wouldn't be one of the most underpaid agencies in the Commonwealth.
Right.
If we hadn't lost all those millions of dollars.
Right.
But we've actually gotten our deputies more money, cut our budget. We have a zero. We're the only agency department in the county.
Yeah, I heard
that does a
Supervisor
zero-based
Bates
budget.
said that. He said, "Yeah." I said, I heard that Butler brought in a zero-based budget. Yeah, he was the only one.
Right? They asked for it. I gave it to it, and it was very. I enjoyed that.
Well, zero-based budget. That's where you start at zero.
You start at zero, and
you don't
build
just
it.
go, give me 10% more than what I had last year. You start at zero and build it up upon requirements that you need.
And I do it every single year now. It was just that simple, and
It's easier.
We were able to save money. I said I was going to bring money through grants. We just wrote a $250,000 grant. We'll find out in May if we get it. I told the county I was going to outsource and try to find other things that's cut the budget. We worked with Loudoun County Sheriff Chapman, and he gave us $100,000 worth of tasers.
Yeah.
So when I first came in, all the tasers were taken off the street the day I started office.
Right.
And I was like, what is going on? And they were just outdated, not working, and most of our people weren't certified to carry them.
Right. That's another thing. If you have it and it doesn't work,
Right.
it puts you in danger. You're almost better off without it because you're relying on it, then it doesn't work.
Exactly. The body cameras and the in-car cameras weren't working. We have all new body cameras, in-car cameras, as we're replacing through attrition. That was also on a grant.
Yeah.
We're sitting there, and yes, we've had some holes in staffing, but everybody is across the Commonwealth.
Right,
We're
across the
actually
country.
better off
Yeah.
than most.
Yeah.
If you look at the state police, I feel sorry for them. I don't know how they're going to operate.
Yeah.
I know Fairfax County, one of the highest paying, largest agencies in the Commonwealth, is they had to shut down a lot of their special operations because they can't manage. They had to put the people on the street.
Right.
So that happens, and it goes in. It's very cyclical. If you look back 10 years, Herndon, agency of 55, they hired like 9-10 people at one time.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a fifth.
Well, and the hiring process isn't like hire them today, put them on the street tomorrow.
Unless you can get a lateral.
Right.
But normally,
Even then, they still have some training. But if not, you're going to send them to the academy, or if they're there, they can only do certain things. You can't put them out by themselves on patrol. You can't do a lot of things. It's a long process.
It's
Long process.
Once we people found out that we got accredited and how well we did with that, we're starting to actually get a lot of lateral transfers.
That's good. Yeah.
And we're hoping this academy will have at least 3 or 4, and then we'll be able to. We're about 2-3 away from being fully staffed. Now that means they still have to be trained.
Sure.
But they have filled that spot, and all our SROs are full. ACOs, they're just gonna have to get training. So we're still able to increase the takeoff of drugs by 810% over 3 years. Think about that, Mike. 810% more drugs taken off the street in the 3 years I've been sheriff than the 3 years prior. And you had to do
without being in the drug task force.
Well, we do work with the drug task force.
I know you do.
And that's where this farce that I hear out on the street that we're not working with the drug task force, that's ridiculous. We work with everybody. Right. But we're also cutting off the head of the snake, or going after the head of the snake like I ran on. And there's no way you can take off that amount of drugs unless you are getting the supply chain.
Right. That's where, getting a user or a dealer, buy one pill, one joint, busting somebody over. We print out the indictments every month, and a lot of those people have, a list this long and have been arrested for the same thing over and over and over again, wasting the grand jury.
Well, that's why, speaking about that, that's why the drug court I thought was important, because it throws another avenue in there, maybe to help the addict. And if it wasn't for the sheriff's office in Beth Revis, that drug court would have never even taken off the ground. Right. Major Driscoll, who is doctorate in business, helped write the entire business plan with Beth Revis, and they pushed it forward to get us in motion, and that's why we're at where it is. It takes a long time. Yeah. And we're in the process of doing something similar through the sheriff's office for the youth academy. So when the children are getting in trouble, all right, then the judge has something else to give instead of
sending them off.
They say, hey, go do this youth academy, and then we'll talk when you complete. Right. So do a deferred, and that's giving them something. So we're not ruining children's lives. Right. But parents need to parent. I'm not the parent. It's not my job to be someone's parent.
Right.
Our child's parent. I raised mine. My job is to be the sheriff and give you as many help. We'll mentor all day long.
Sure.
But I think, and parents want that. Parents want to be the parent.
Right.
Parents want to be the parent. And so we're doing well, though.
Well, let me tell you, some things we always ask incumbents, now that you are an incumbent. So let's pick 2 things. Let's pick the best thing that happened to you in the last 3 years, and pick the worst thing that's happened to you in the last 3 years. So which do you want to go on first?
Well,
you should have to think too hard.
Well, clearly, the Enos case is the worst thing that has happened, and a lot of people have asked, and I can't really speak on it because it's still an open case. I can tell you that the Warren County did not elect me to ensure nothing bad ever happened.
Exactly.
You elected me to do it right and handle the situation correctly, without sweeping it under the carpet, and that's what I did. When it went down, every single one of them was put on administrative leave, who needed to be. We created a board within our agency, and then we reached out from the outside and had individuals from other agencies and civilian come in that have no skin in the game in Warren County. And they sat down, all the evidence was presented to them, and they all came up with a concise, exact decision, right?
Who to go, who to stay, who to blame.
How to go about it. Right. And I'm very proud of that. And actually, when the Department of Criminal Justice Services saw that in the accreditation, because it all was in there, they basically said, wow, that is...
So it's like a bad thing and a good thing all in one.
Right. And, but we're very. It'll all come out, and there's things I can't talk about.
Sure.
We can talk about the 12-second video all day long, but I'd rather not until it comes out and it's clear. All I will say is there is no more of brushing things under the carpet. If a complaint comes in, we deal with it, and it's done through the standards, and that's where accreditation comes in again. Because if we don't follow those standards, we don't get accredited. Right. So our standards are in compliance not only with what we believe is best practices, but what the state says is best practices for all law enforcement agencies. Right. And I believe that's going to be mandatory. So accreditation, they both kind of, it is good and bad.
Right.
They run together. My heart goes out to all the families, the Enos family, the deputies' families, everybody, because as a officer for many years, that's something that's always gonna be there. As the sheriff, it's always gonna be there, and
you know what they
I'll
say,
have to live with it.
The buck stops here. You know, that's kind of like it flows uphill sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll have to live with it. But I will tell you, that 12-second video, I've seen an hour and 40 minutes of video.
Right.
Hour and 40 minutes. I'm very proud and confident in how we handled this situation past occurred.
Right.
Could we have done better that night? Yes. But, and that's where I'm going to keep it on that. We could have done better. We've already addressed the training. Anytime we have an incident, we do an internal affairs investigation. It is going through a process, and we try to see how we can get better in our training so it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
Because if you do something over and over and over again, expecting the same way, expecting different results, that's insanity.
Right.
So we look at everything. And that's where that accreditation, again, comes into to where we are held to that standard. And if we don't do those standards, we're not going to keep accreditation.
Right.
So, yeah, very proud of it.
So it sounds like your best thing and your worst thing kind of went together, didn't it?
It does. Yeah. And if you're doing it right, I can't say that everything we're ever going to do is 100% going to be right, but it won't be because of malice or ill intent. It'll be, something just didn't work out in the best way we wanted. No plan.
It does. And people don't realize, too, that law enforcement officers in general, you got that split second to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's what they say, it happens a lot in officer shootings or any kind of shootings. And, you just don't know. Do you wait till they pull the trigger before you shoot, or do you respond, So it's a touchy situation. I would not want to be in a deputy or any kind of law enforcement's shoes, because you're making some life and death decisions based upon the training you get, the accreditations, all these things probably will, should only get better if you just keep the training up.
When I was stationed in Korea, right, we patrolled the DMZ, and, we were told, part of rules of engagement, when you shoot, after they've shot at you and you've been told you can, right? And so is it going to get to that?
Yeah.
That was, it's a rough.
Wait till I pull the bullet out of my pocket and stick it in my gun. Right.
It's I was deployed to Hurricane Andrew with the 82nd Airborne, and we were patrolling the streets of gang-infested Dade County.
Right.
And we had Maddox handles. And we had our Beretta 9mm, but we didn't have any rounds in it. One of my buddies got shot, and then the next day, we all had ammunition, but we had tape over it.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy situation. The world's crazy, and we try to go through a bunch of different things, but to get better. I'm really blessed to be the sheriff of Warren County. I'm honored, and I believe the people of Warren County can look through the rhetoric that happens on the modern day National Enquirer, such as Facebook, and they can see what the Warren County Sheriff's Office has actually been able to achieve. And the sky's the limit of how far we can take this agency.
Right.
But everybody in Warren County should be proud of their sheriff's office again. The badge isn't tarnished anymore.
Right. That's good. Well, Mark, I appreciate you coming in. Hopefully you'll come in a couple more times before the election.
I try, but
We
I got
try
to get
all the
Robbie in here.
Well, Robbie's coming in, I think, tomorrow. But I try to get all the candidates. I think people should take a look at all the candidates in every position, not just the sheriff's department. But we're electing a lot of people basically every year. Somebody's running for something. At least every 2 years in Warren County, the elections are up. So we got Board of Supervisors, we got the sheriff, we got the Commonwealth Attorney, we got the commissioner. It's got a lot of constitutional offices, and people need to be aware of what's going on.
I understand some. I guess Crystal Klein is running for sheriff.
Right.
I don't think I've spoken to her maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't even know what she did at the police department. So, people are like, well, what do you think, Sheriff? I was like, well, that's good. Everybody should have an opponent.
That's right.
Because if you don't have an opponent, then you're not gonna stay true to yourself. And
Exactly.
But
I always say more the merrier.
they said, well, are you worried? And no, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all, because I truly believe if the intelligent people of Warren County, which they are blue-collar, hard-working, intelligent people of Warren County, truly see what the Warren County Sheriff's Office has been able to accomplish in 3 years. It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
I will have no problems, and I will be the sheriff next term as well. And I'm not going to. I do not believe in mudslinging.
Right.
I do not believe in any of that nonsense, and I'm not going to do that nonsense. I'm going to show you what we've done in the sheriff's office. You can ask, you can call me, you can do whatever you want. Believe me, we're getting FOIAs all the time.
Right.
Which we know where they're coming from as well.
But that's okay.
It is.
That's
please,
the law.
please look at what we're doing.
Right.
Because I would be more than happy for you to compare what the Warren County Sheriff's Office compared to local Front Row Police Department and surrounding sheriff's offices and police departments. And you tell me we're not doing it right.
Right.
Because I know we are.
Okay. Well, great, Sheriff Butler. It's good talking to you again. We will see Robbie tomorrow, and we'll hope to get you back here again. Watch the video we did of his kickoff event out at the Shenandoah Golf Course.
It was a good event.
It was a good event. Had a good event. Considering it was the day before
Easter.
It was real good planning there, Sheriff.
Well, we knew it was going to be that way.
It's hard to get in that place because they got so many great events.
Oh, my
going
gosh.
on.
But, it was a great event. We had a lot of people there, and heck, it's the first time I ever got a standing ovation.
Oh, that's true.
That was pretty.
The speech was good, and I think you'll find out he goes through a lot of the statistics of all the different things that he done. It's just a whole long list of stuff. So check that out. I should be posting that in the next day or so.
That'd be great. I appreciate it.
Again, thank you for coming in, and hope we'll see you again soon.
Always right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it.